I'd just like to welcome everybody this afternoon to the 2020 groundbreaking online ECTA conference, which has been a huge learning curve for everybody. This afternoon we are going to listen to Kynie Firmager talk to us about tricky parents and how we can work with them. Okay, so Kynie is a parent coach. She started her career in early childhood, working across most roles within services. While enjoying her time as an educational leader, she developed a passion for working with parents, even the tricky ones. Kynie found there was a real need for parent support as she enjoyed it so much. It was a perfect transition in her career. She then moved on to coaching, mentoring and supporting parents at one of Australia's busiest maternity hospitals. Kynie also runs her own parenting coaching business where she supports parents in their homes or at workshops. Her work is relationship-based, focused on building connections with parents and supporting them. Her practice is fluid and adaptable to the needs of each individual family. Through maintaining relationships with early childhood educators, Kynie has now noticed a need for supporting educators in developing relationships with the parents of children in their care. She works with educators to break down barriers and build relationships between parent, educator and child. Kynie is passionate about her work with parents and understands the importance of working together with the main focus in common, the child. So, Biff, Kynie, welcome and over to you.
Thanks, Sue. Hi, everyone. So as Sue mentioned, I work with parents. I've got a background in early childhood, mainly in childcare centres. I've worked with families for about 18 years now, all up. I started off very young as a nanny. And I was just going to try and give you some strategies on how I've found adapting my practice to make it a bit of an easier transition to get what we need out of parents in our industry, because we all know how important that connection is for the children, that we're on good working terms with them, but sometimes it's not the easiest to do. My biggest philosophy about working with parents is we have no control over their actions. We only have control over our own actions, and we need to adapt our practice. When it's not working, we can't change what they're doing. But if we change within ourselves, then hopefully we can work towards a better outcome for everyone. So to start off with, I'm hoping everyone's got the message to bring some pen and paper, or you've got something, or type up on your computer. Can everyone just write down some positives and negatives that you've got about a relationship at the moment? Think of one that you really want to work on and improve on, and we'll use that throughout for these activities. And hopefully that's one that we can start practicing on. So yeah, just a quick couple of minute activity, write down positives, negatives. Nobody's going to look at it, it's your work, it's your relationship. All right, and while you're writing it down, I'm just going to have a chat. Mine's the caravan background in the video here. I've tried to escape the noise of my family hanging out in the caravan. You might hear the aircon click on and off because these little things are little hot boxes. Today's adult learning. Take what you want out of it. What you don't like, don't take. If you feel like dropping out, I won't be offended. If you have questions, please ask them. I'll try and be as fluid as I can. I do have a bit of a schedule to stick to, but again, I'm happy to be adaptable because it's what you want to get out of it, not what I want to get out of it. So I'm going to talk to you about two relationships that I've had. I'm going to talk to you about the best relationship that I've had with a parent from a working point of view, and then the worst relationship that I've had. So I'll start off with the best because I'm a bit of a positive person. Danielle came to me in a childcare centre. We had just opened, we were a brand new centre, and she was coming in for visits. She was coming in with her neighbour. She was quite anxious about her little man starting. He was only about 7 months, I think, from memory. And we had to really work on showing her that childcare is okay, it's safe, this is what we're going to do for your baby. I built that foundation of what do you want done for your child? How can I do that for you? We had strong communication. When he started, I would ring Danielle daily. Sometimes she would ring me multiple times a day to check in on him, but I made sure that that was okay for her because that's her little world. She didn't know what was going on. There came probably about 2 weeks in, and he developed symptoms that looked very familiar to hand, foot and mouth. I had to make the dreaded phone call and say, you need to come and pick up your precious baby and take him to the doctor. This is where it got quite nasty. She went off her nutter on the phone, accusing us of having bad hygiene standards. How dare we let this happen to a baby? At this point, I knew there was nothing that I could do to soothe her. I just let her go, reminded her that she needed to come in and pick him up. And then when she came in, she was still quite cranky about it, but she was more concerned about her baby by that stage. I think the initial shock had worn off, and now she was at the point of, I'm a little bit scared. I talked her through it. I explained what hand, foot and mouth is. It's not as scary as it sounds. It's just like a common cold. You can pick it up from anywhere. Explained how I didn't think it came from us because we'd only been open a couple of weeks, and no other cases had come in, but just talked her through it, gave her some information. He was off for a few weeks while that all got sorted, and she came back in with a lovely bag of lollies and chocolates and a big apology letter of how she'd reacted to the situation and how she was embarrassed about what had happened, and explained that she was just really nervous about what happened. She thought the worst case scenario of a baby with hand, foot and mouth. And we moved forward from there. We had some really good time. She came in excited when she was expecting her second baby to tell us. She asked some tips. My youngest two are only 14 months apart. So she's like, how did you do it with them so close? Like, how did we move forward? We also got to the point where sadly she lost that baby, but she came to us first and we sat on the floor together and hugged and cried. This little boy is now in prep. I no longer work at that service, but we still keep in contact. We've kept our relationship still very similar to a professional relationship. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a friendship, but we do keep in contact and we do keep each other updated. And I do get to see him grow, and his little sister that she did have a successful pregnancy, which is quite beautiful. The worst relationship, I'm quite embarrassed about it. I don't remember the mum's name. That's how bad our relationship was. She was that parent that would come in and constantly have a different need. She constantly, whatever we did was wrong. She wanted to talk to us for 45 minutes every single day. And we're a busy industry. Unfortunately, we don't have that 45 minutes. It got to the point where we would see her car pull in and I would go to the toilet, or I would go to the storeroom, or I'd go to the staff room. She decided to make herself comfortable in the staff room and would just walk on in and try and hunt us down. And yeah, it got quite terrible and it got to avoidance stage. And I think the difference is I didn't put in the effort. She obviously had a need that I didn't see. Looking back, I can see it, but at the time I didn't. I just thought she was annoying. She didn't understand how we needed to do our job. She had these expectations that we couldn't meet within service. But looking back, I could have explained that to her a bit better. I could have taken the time and said, look, I can't talk to you right now because we're busy, but come back, let's set up a meeting and get that done. So I just want to share those two with you. They are my very best and my very worst. And it's all in what I did. I can't control what they did. I couldn't control when Danielle went off at me over her little boy getting hand, foot and mouth, but I couldn't control how I handled it and how we moved forward. I couldn't control that this mum in the worst relationship, I don't know her name, and that really upsets me that I don't know it. I couldn't control that she needed to come in and change her needs constantly, but I could have controlled my actions better. And I guess that's helped me work better with parents. I now work at Martyr Mothers in at Brisbane, and our patients come in and out. Like Martyr Mothers keep them, you know, I'm on the private wards, we keep them a bit longer than public, but I've literally got 10 minutes to build a relationship and work with these people that have just delivered a baby and teach them what to do with their baby. So I think because of my past experiences, I now know how to build that relationship really quickly and get in there and get what we need to get done for the best outcome for the child. So if you could just have a little think about, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here, the best relationship that you've ever had with a parent. What was so good about it? And what role did you play in that relationship? Like, how did your actions affect that relationship? And then have a quick think about the worst relationship that you've had, and we've all got them. It's this industry. What was so bad about it? And what was the role that you played in that relationship? So if you want to write those down, it might help you a bit later with some of the activities. And then I did practice this with my daughter, so bear with me if it doesn't work. I'm just going to share the whiteboard here, and you're going to see my amazing drawing skills, which are really non-existent. That's why I work with under 5s. Okay, now here I'm going to attempt to draw an iceberg because we're going to have a look at an activity of parent behaviours and what they could mean, and we're going to try and unpack that. So just bear with my drawing skills, and I'm also on a laptop, so the mouse isn't my best friend either. Now the reason why I like to use the iceberg is up the top here, this is what we see. This is what we can see from parents. This is what we can see from children. I'm not sure if some of you have used it with children before. But then underneath the surface, we've got no idea what's going on. We only see what's up here, and that's what we make our judgment on. But I really want us to try and unpack what could be going on under the surface. We're not going to know because it's somebody else's feelings and perceptions. But if we've got an awareness of what could be triggering what we're seeing, we can change what we're doing to help or not help with that. So the example I'm going to use up here is a parent constantly changing expectations. Now, I'm not sure, Sue, do you know if everyone has the ability to jump in and draw on the whiteboard? Oh, sorry, you're just muted. Sue, we've lost your volume.
Sorry, no, you haven't. I muted myself.
Okay.
I think they can. So if everybody, let's see. I'm not sure where we get our pen from. If you share screen, where's the pen, Kylie?
So if you, up on the drop-down box, there'll be, I think it's called annotations, a little thing there. And then when you click on that, you'll get a little box up that can get you text or drawing or spotlight.
On information, or where at the top, Dal?
You know how when you hover on the top of the screen, sorry, I'm pointing to my screen, that's not going to help you.
Yeah.
And then the drop down comes and you've got your mute, your video, your participants.
Okay, mine are down the bottom, but yes.
Oh, down the bottom, okay. And then there should be one that is called annotation or annotate.
No, I don't seem to have that one. Does anyone else?
Yeah, Wendy
does. Well, if you do, go ahead and off you go. You should be able to use it because I've opened it to everyone, I believe.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So Wendy and anyone else that has it, if you click on your text bottom and down the bottom, anywhere in the iceberg, just type in what you think the reasons are why they're constantly changing their expectations. So one of the ones that I think is mistrust. Or another one that I think is they are trying to maintain an aspect of control within what's happening to their child, because when you hand your child over, you lose that aspect of control.
Can anyone else type?
No. If you can't type, did you want to unmute and you can verbally?
Yep, that's a good idea.
Jump in the conversation and I can try and type it in.
There's also a reaction bar, people, along the bottom, and you can do thumbs up, thumbs down to things if you wish to. I did go share screen, multiple tests. I know we wrote in pen the other night, but I'm not getting annotations. Okay, so mistrust, trying to maintain an aspect of control.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes they feel the children aren't ready. So the readiness.
Yeah, so Child's readiness. Oh, look, here's they coming up. Thank you, everyone.
There you go.
For feeling guilty. If yours is hiding behind, if you click on the select up the top, then you can hover over yours. I'm not sure. I know I can move everyone else's. Don't worry. Confusion around expectations. Yeah, that's a really good one. That's something that comes across quite often because we have that education background. We've been taught what's right and what's not and how things work. Parents don't know that. They've got this vision of how education works and they don't actually understand the ins and outs. Some really good ideas coming up here, everyone. And that's another thing that, not with parents, but with co-workers, we're our greatest resources. Everyone has a wonderful experience in education, and if we do things like this and bounce it off each other, we can learn a whole lot more from each other to move forward. All right, so Sue, here's where I was hoping to jump off into little breakout groups.
And I found my annotations.
Oh, perfect.
There you go. I do scribble. It undo options. Okay, cool. Okay, so you'd like to go into breakout rooms. There's 9 of us, so we might change it to 3 and
3 of 3.
And then, just extend it to about 4 minutes. Does that sound good?
That would be great. So before we jump out, everyone, what I'm hoping is when you're in your little groups, it's a bit easier to talk to everyone and verbally go through this. Change the behavior up the top here to something up here. Change that behavior to something that you want to work on, and then you can work through it together what you think could be happening, because then it gives us a bit of understanding. So here when I see a parent's feeling guilty, you know that you can kind of work with them to eliminate that guilt, meet the expectations, but set clear boundaries of, no, we're not changing them all the time. This is what we've set, this is what's happening. So yeah, if everyone goes into breakout and try and work together and come up with some great ideas to help your circumstance. Thanks, Sue.
So just hit your invite and you'll go into the breakout room. Rebecca's by herself. So I'm going to move. Oh, okay. Can you hear me, Kynie? Welcome back. Okay, we just, Bern and Joanna haven't come back yet. You're muted, Kylie.
It's happening to all of us.
I know.
Hopefully everyone was able to get some sort of ideas to bounce off each other. As I said earlier, we are our best resources. Everyone's got a different experience, different knowledge. So we're going to move on now to Erikson's theory. And I guess we all know the stages of development. I believe no matter what study and education we've done, it's been covered. It comes down to human development. I try and convert his stages. I take away the ages and I use them in my relationships. So the trust versus mistrust, yes, we normally look at that for babies, but when we're starting a relationship, you need to build up trust. And then you go on to the autonomy versus shame and doubt. In a relationship, we don't want to be controlled. We don't want to be told what to do. We want to develop that sense of we can do it ourselves. We have a say in this relationship. So yeah, I think if we can look at the different stages of each theory, let me just see if I can share, just in case anybody has forgotten these, because I know I'm constantly referring back. And then we are just going to, we're going to go back into back breakouts. I know that was a bit hard for the mics that weren't listening. How many groups did we have, Sue? Was it 3?
Well, we had 3. Maybe we just make 2.
2, yeah, perfect. Yeah. All right, so when we break out, if group 1 looks at trust versus mistrust, and we might go initiative versus guilt. And then if group 2, let me change my little stamper, looks at autonomy versus shame and doubt, and that one's meant to be in industrial inferiority. And just have a think about it. So before we break out, I'll run through how I kind of interpret into relationships, because it is a bit tricky when we've learnt about it from ages. So trust versus mistrust. If a parent's needs are being dependably met, they will develop a sense of trust within that relationship. So it's the same as a baby. You meet their needs, they develop a sense of trust. A parent, we meet their needs, they develop that sense of trust. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. Parents will exercise will and insist you do things their way. When we don't or suggest it's wrong, then we're kind of portraying that we doubt their ability as a parent. Because we've got to remember, they are their child's most important educators in life, and they know their child better than we do. So we need to embrace that and give them the understanding that they are doing a good job, even if it's not what we agree. Obviously, if there's abuse, that's completely different, but don't put them down by not listening to them. Initiative versus guilt. Parents seek to initiate their child's learning needs and activity ideas as they feel a sense of guilt. I'm sure we've all had that parent that comes to us when their 2-year-old turns 2 and they expect them to learn to write their name. That comes from parents. They want to participate, they just don't know how or when. They don't understand that their child's not ready for that. So how can we help that? How can we go back? We can't just go, no, I'm not teaching a 2-year-old to write their name. What can we do to make them feel more secure about that? So yeah, if we go into the breakout groups and have a chat verbally, if you want to write down notes for your own thing, my intention for this is hopefully understanding of how we can slowly build a relationship, takes steps and time. And if we refer to Erickson, which we're all so familiar with, it does help with a relationship as well.
And how long would you like, Kynie?
This one will go for about the 15, 20, see how we're going.
So say 8 minutes for each?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
It's going to take me, I think I'm going to delete them and start again.
Oh, okay, they saved it there.
The same ones. Yep. Yes. And now we're going to, I'm going to close that again. And yes, 8 participants into 2 rooms. Go. Okay, and I've ended up in the same, oh, I'm not in one yet. What happened to Kynie? Hi. Oh, we're all back very quick that time. You haven't got Joanna and Nira back. Yep, Nira's back. Joanna is back. Close that down. Everyone's back.
Woohoo. All right, so the last thing, before the last thing, everyone seemed to have really good discussions and really good ideas with everyone. There's quite a few different situations. So hopefully you've got some ideas to think about of how you can use Erickson to build that relationship with your parents to move forward. Now, the next thing that we're going to look at, I never actually came across this resource while I worked in early childhood. It's only since moving into the hospital that I've come across this one. And I think it's amazing. It's about critical reflection. It's the Gibbs theory. So I don't know if other people have come across it, but personally I never had. And it really helps us be really, really critical with our reflection rather than just writing the little airy-fairy diary that we write because we have to write it, but it unpacks each stage and how we can move forward. So I'm just going to pop that one up in the share screen. Give me one moment, please. And what I'd like you to do for this one's going to be, sorry, a little bit of homework for you. I'm not going to check it or anything like that. It's just another tool to help you. So if we look at, we started up here at the description. So what is happening? Write down, it literally, the models that I've seen you write down like 4 or 5 sentences, describe what's happening, take the emotion out of it, be factual. We can all do that. We all do it all the time. So describe what's happening. Then we move on to, what were you feeling and thinking? So this is you. What are you feeling in this situation? What are you thinking in this situation? Again, the 4 to 5 sentences really unpack your feelings. Again, I'm going to go back to, we've got no control over other people. We have no idea what they're feeling. But what are you feeling? We're working on ourselves and how we can improve relationships. Then evaluate. What was good and bad about it, the experience? So if we're looking at an incident you've had with a parent or a relationship that you really do want to improve, what's good and what's bad? Because there will be positives in everything. There will be negatives as well. And then we're going to analyze, try and make sense of the situation. Why do you feel like this? Why is that part good? Why is that part bad? Then we're going to further analyze, what else could you have done? What did you miss? Going back to my worst relationship with a parent, I reflect on that constantly. This was 10 years ago that I had this child. What could I have done better? How could I have made that better? Then make an action plan. If it's building a relationship, working on a relationship, what can you do to go forward? How can you do it? How are you going to make that happen? If it's a previous thing that we're reflecting on, what could you have done? Or if it happens again, what can you do to move forward? So I'll just leave this up for a couple of minutes if you want to write down, whether you write down the whole cycle here or just Gibbs, so you can quickly Google. If you Google Gibbs critical reflection model, it will come up. Pictures, descriptions. There's some really good examples of how people have written it. So if everyone can work out how, if you just give like a little thumbs up when you've got it done, and I'll know to drop this one down. Getting some thumbs up done. I just don't want to drop it down too early on anyone.
Bern and Nira have said in the chat box that they're done.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Rebecca's done. So I think that's everyone. I think that's everyone.
Okay, perfect. I'll stop sharing this one. All right, so I'm going to start rounding up here, everyone, because time's coming up and we've managed to cover everything. Thank you, everyone. But the main thing that I focus on is when we foster the positive, set clear boundaries, and take ownership of our responsibilities, we will have a better relationship with parents. The biggest one is take that ownership. We can't change what they're doing, but we can change what we're doing to move forward. If we focus on the negatives, which sometimes we do, if we're constantly focusing on it's their fault, their participation, nothing's going to change. We're the professionals in this relationship. we need to step it up and take ownership and make the changes happen. Hopefully some of the things that we've gone through today, I just wanted to give you some tools on how to try and work on a relationship. We're constantly reflecting upon our inactions. It's what we do in this industry. And hopefully you can use some of these tools to work on relationships and how to move forward. I'm just going to pop up my details here for my business that I run, because I've started noticing such a big need within the industry for working better with parents. I am starting to break out into services and run workshops within services. So if anybody thinks your service could benefit of it, please feel free to send me an email or jump on Facebook. My business is called Mama School because primarily I do work with teaching parents what to do with their children in the early years. I haven't quite come up with changing over to an educator side yet, but come and find me. And if you think it's going to work for your service, we can negotiate, talk to your director, your prime principal, whoever's running your sort of service. And yeah, we can make that happen if you think it's going to be of benefit. Also, I don't like ripping people off. If you have any more questions or have any more problems, just message me on Facebook and I'm happy to help and work it out with you. That's not something that I charge for. That's not what my morals are about. So yeah, thank you everyone. Has everyone written down if they want it or not? Perfect. So yeah, thank you everyone. Sue, I'll hand back over to you. We're 2 minutes in.
We are. You've done awesome. So thank you, Kynie, for that. You know, tricky parents is something that's always going to be part of our life as educators, sorry. And I think that, you know, through your talk, I think it helps us to change our mindset about what is tricky. It's like kids, you know. What is that behavior about, and looking deeper into why that behavior might be happening and ways we may be able to you know, build better relationships or help parents through those models that you're talking about. Also interesting that, you know, you used developmental models for children, but actually we can, you know, take that information and put it over to adults as well in our communications and our workings with them. So
yeah,
thank
most
you very
definitely.
much.
It's something that we're comfortable with, so why not use it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we forget to do that sometimes. I think we meet parents and we're like, you should know this. What's going on here? But if we just take a step back and think, well, maybe, you know, this is something you haven't developed past, so, you know, we'll take you on a journey. So thank you everyone for attending.